Hello everyone. Welcome to Fluent English Journey. I am your host, Fanny, and I am very happy to have you here. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you can get daily tips that will help you improve your English skills. Today, we are going to talk about something very important that affects all of us in our daily lives. That topic is communication barriers. Communication is how we share our ideas, thoughts, feelings, and information with other people. It is how we connect with friends, family, coworkers, and even strangers. But even when people speak the same language, misunderstandings can happen. These misunderstandings are called communication barriers, and they can make conversations confusing, create arguments, or even cause missed opportunities. These barriers can come from many sources. Sometimes it is because of language differences, sometimes because of cultural differences, and sometimes because of emotions, assumptions, or habits. Understanding these barriers is the first step to becoming a better communicator. When we understand them, we can connect more easily with people in both our personal life and our work life. Language barriers. One of the most common communication barriers is language. Even if two people speak the same language, differences in accents, slang, or special terms can make understanding difficult. For example, at work, if someone uses technical words or professional jargon without explaining them, others may get confused. Similarly, idioms and expressions may be normal for native speakers, but confusing for learners or people from other countries. To overcome language barriers, it is important to be patient and try to explain your ideas in simpler words. You can also rephrase your sentences or ask if the other person understood. Checking for understanding and repeating or clarifying if needed can make communication much smoother. Cultural differences. Another major barrier is culture. People from different countries or cultures often have different ways of talking, different social behaviors, and different ways of showing respect. For example, in some cultures, people speak very directly and value honesty, even if it seems blunt. In other cultures, people prefer to avoid conflict and speak indirectly to keep harmony. These differences can cause confusion, tension, or frustration if we do not pay attention to them. To communicate better across cultures, we need to observe, listen carefully, and respect different ways of interacting. Being aware of cultural differences helps build stronger relationships and avoids unnecessary misunderstandings. Emotions and personal experiences. Our feelings and past experiences can also create communication barriers. When we are stressed, upset, or distracted, it is harder to understand others clearly. Likewise, if we make assumptions about someone, it can stop us from listening properly. For example, if we assume someone will not understand, we may talk down to them, which can make communication worse. Being mindful of emotions, both ours and others, is very important. Taking time to explain clearly, asking polite questions, and showing empathy can remove many emotional barriers. Habits and expression styles. Some people have habits in the way they communicate that can also make things harder. For example, talking too fast, using complicated words, or giving too much information at once can confuse the listener. To solve this, we can break ideas into smaller parts, speak slowly, and check if others understand. Also, paying attention to nonverbal communication, like body language, tone of voice, and gestures, is very important. Sometimes a nod, smile, or eye contact can help make communication much clearer and reduce confusion. Physical and environmental barriers. Physical or environmental factors can also block communication. Things like noise, poor lighting, distance, or technical problems during online meetings can make it difficult to understand each other. Even where people sit or how far apart they are in a room can affect communication. Being aware of these small details and adjusting them can make conversations much easier and more effective. Assumptions and stereotypes. Sometimes we have assumptions or stereotypes about people without even realizing it. This can create invisible barriers. If we assume things about someone, it can stop us from listening carefully or understanding them fully. Being open-minded and checking our assumptions can help us communicate better. Tips for effective communication. Communication is not just about speaking clearly. It is also about listening carefully. Asking questions politely, confirming understanding, and being patient can prevent misunderstandings. Simple phrases like, "Could you explain that again? I want to make sure I understand you correctly," can make a huge difference in how clear and productive a conversation is. Managing emotions is also very important. Feelings like anger, fear, or stress can make it hard to express yourself or to listen to others properly. For example, when someone is upset, they may hear a neutral comment as criticism. Anxiety can also make it hard to speak up or share ideas. Techniques like pausing before responding, practicing active listening, and showing empathy can reduce emotional barriers. Summary. In conclusion, communication barriers can happen because of language differences, cultural differences, emotions, habits, physical factors, or assumptions. But by being patient, clear, empathetic, and observant, we can overcome these barriers. Effective communication requires both speaking and listening carefully. By asking questions, checking understanding, and managing emotions, we can connect better with friends, family, and colleagues and make every conversation more productive. Remember, communication is a skill that we can improve every day. With practice, understanding, and patience, we can remove barriers and make our connections with others stronger and clearer. One common reason for misunderstandings is assumptions and stereotypes. Sometimes we think we know what someone will say or think based on their appearance, culture, or job. When we do this, we may stop listening carefully. This can lead to confusion, missed opportunities, and even arguments. To avoid this, it is very important to stay humble, curious, and open-minded. One way to do this is by asking open-ended questions. Open-ended questions are questions that cannot be answered with a simple yes or no. For example, you can ask, "What do you think about this? Could you share more details?" These questions show respect and encourage the other person to explain more clearly, which makes conversations much better. Active listening. The next step to overcoming communication barriers is active listening. Active listening means paying full attention to the person who is speaking. It means trying to understand not only their words, but also their feelings. For example, if a colleague is explaining a complicated idea in a meeting, do not plan your response while they are talking. Instead, focus on their words, nod, make eye contact, and repeat or summarize what they said to check if you understood correctly. Active listening shows respect and helps prevent misunderstandings. Simple phrases like, "So you're saying that? Did I understand correctly? Can you explain that again, please?" can make a big difference in understanding the other person correctly. Simplifying language. Another way to improve communication is by simplifying your language. Avoid using complicated words, long sentences, slang, or technical terms unless the other person understands them. Break your ideas into smaller steps and explain them clearly. Use examples, repeat important points, and make sure the other person understands before moving on. For example, instead of saying, "We need to synergize our efforts to maximize the efficacy of the project deliverables," you can say, "We need to work together to make the project successful." Simple language does not make you less smart. It makes your message clearer and easier to understand for everyone. Paraphrasing and summarizing. Paraphrasing and summarizing are also very helpful. After someone speaks, try to restate what they said in your own words. This shows that you listen carefully and allows the other person to correct you if you misunderstood. For example, So, you are saying your workload is too heavy and it is causing stress. Did I understand you correctly? This method reduces confusion and encourages honest conversation. Cultural awareness. Cultural differences can also affect communication. People from different cultures may speak, act, or express themselves differently. Some cultures are very direct and value honesty, while others focus on politeness and harmony. Being aware of these differences, observing carefully, and staying open-minded can prevent misunderstandings and help you build better relationships with people from diverse backgrounds. Emotional barriers. Emotions play a big role in communication. Strong feelings like anger, stress, fear, or anxiety can make it hard to express yourself clearly or to listen properly. For example, when someone is upset, they may interpret a neutral comment as criticism or may ignore important information. Managing emotions is important. Pausing before responding, showing empathy, and practicing active listening can help reduce emotional barriers and make conversations smoother. Physical and environmental barriers. Sometimes the environment makes communication difficult. Noise, poor lighting, distance, or technical problems during online meetings can prevent people from understanding each other. Even the way people are seated or separated in a room can affect communication. Noticing these barriers and making small adjustments, like moving closer, improving lighting, or using clear audio, can make a big difference. Key strategies to overcome barriers. To communicate better, we need to combine several strategies. Active listening. Focus fully on the speaker and understand their perspective. Simplify language. Use clear words, short sentences, and examples. Paraphrasing. Repeat or summarize what the other person said to confirm understanding. Cultural awareness. Observe and respect different ways of communicating. Manage emotions. Stay calm, empathetic, and patient during conversations. Adjust environment. Reduce noise, improve lighting, and make sure everyone can hear and see clearly. Stay open-minded. Avoid assumptions, ask open-ended questions, and listen without judgment. By practicing these strategies, you can overcome most communication barriers. You will understand others better, reduce misunderstandings, and create positive conversations whether at work, at home, or with friends. Remember, communication is a skill that improves with practice, patience, and care. Every time you listen carefully, ask questions, and explain clearly, you become a better communicator. Understanding cultural differences. People communicate differently depending on their culture. Communication styles and social customs are not the same in every country. For example, in some cultures, making direct eye contact shows confidence, while in other cultures, it might seem rude or disrespectful. Understanding these differences allows you to adjust your behavior so that your message is received well. Approaching conversations with curiosity instead of judgment is very helpful. Asking polite questions like, "Can you explain how your team usually handles this situation?" shows interest in the other person's perspective and encourages open dialogue. Managing emotions. Emotions can strongly affect communication. Feeling angry, stressed, or frustrated can make it hard to express yourself clearly or understand others. When emotions are high, it helps to pause before responding. Take a deep breath, count to 10, or step away for a short break. Showing empathy toward others' feelings is also important. Simple phrases like, "I understand this situation is frustrating for you. It sounds like you had a difficult day." Acknowledge emotions and reduce tension. Practicing empathy regularly makes conversations smoother, more productive, and more positive. Overcoming physical and technological barriers. Sometimes communication is blocked by physical or technology-related factors. For example, in online meetings, poor audio or video quality can make it hard to understand each other. To avoid this, Always check your equipment before a call, speak clearly, and ask others to confirm if they understood your main points. In noisy or crowded spaces, try to find a quieter area or use written notes to support your conversation. Even small steps like making sure everyone can see shared slides or documents clearly can make a big difference. These actions show professionalism and make communication more effective. Avoiding assumptions and stereotypes. Assumptions and stereotypes are often invisible barriers. Sometimes we think we know what someone will say or feel based on their age, appearance, background, or profession. This can prevent us from truly listening and understanding. To overcome these barriers, stay open-minded and humble. Ask open-ended questions and seek clarification. For example, could you explain more about your idea? What approach do you think would work best here? These questions show respect and make the other person feel heard. Using feedback effectively. Feedback is another important tool for improving communication. Giving and receiving feedback helps clarify expectations and strengthens understanding. When giving feedback, focus on specific actions instead of personal traits. For example, I noticed that the report did not include the latest data, which made it harder to analyze. This is better than saying, you are careless with your work. When receiving feedback, listen carefully without becoming defensive. Ask questions to understand fully and use the feedback to improve your skills. Constructive feedback promotes growth and better communication. Practicing and preparing. Practicing conversations in advance can make communication easier and more effective. Role-playing different scenarios helps you anticipate challenges and build confidence. This is especially useful before meetings, presentations, or difficult conversations. Summary. Overcoming communication barriers takes practice, awareness, and patience. Some key strategies include understanding cultural differences, managing emotions calmly, adjusting to physical or technological challenges, avoiding assumptions and stereotypes, listening actively and attentively, using simple and clear language, giving and receiving feedback constructively, practicing conversations in advance. By using these strategies, you can communicate more effectively in work, social situations, or online. Clear communication builds trust, reduces misunderstandings, prevents conflicts, and helps you connect with people from all backgrounds. Practicing these skills regularly will make your conversations easier, smoother, and more meaningful. Practicing difficult conversations. One useful way to improve communication is to practice difficult discussions with a friend, mentor, or tutor. You can simulate real-life situations like a job interview, presentation, or negotiation. This practice allows you to prepare responses, listen actively, and handle questions calmly. The more you practice, the more naturally you will manage real-life communication barriers, even in high-pressure situations. Nonverbal communication. Communication is not just about words. Nonverbal communication is very important. Gestures, facial expressions, body posture, and tone of voice can all affect understanding. Being aware of your own signals and noticing those of others helps reduce misunderstandings. For example, if someone looks confused during a conversation, you can pause and ask politely, "Is there anything I should explain more clearly?" This shows attentiveness and care. Similarly, maintaining open body language, like making eye contact and nodding, encourages the other person to continue sharing. On the other hand, crossing your arms, frowning, or looking away can signal disinterest or confusion. Patience, active listening, and empathy. When you approach conversations with patience, active listening, and empathy, you create a safe space for others to express themselves fully. These skills are important in professional environments, but are also very useful in personal relationships. They help prevent misunderstandings, resolve conflicts, and build stronger connections. Adapting to different situations. Effective communication also means adapting to different situations. In meetings, emails, casual chats, or online discussions, you can adjust your tone, words, and body language to make your message clear. For example, in professional emails, use polite and clear sentences to avoid confusion. In conversations, paraphrase what someone said to confirm understanding. Ask open-ended questions to encourage dialogue and show respect for the other person's opinion. By practicing these strategies consistently, you develop advanced communication skills that make you confident, clear, and empathetic. Over time, these techniques help you handle cultural differences, emotional challenges, and physical or technological barriers more effectively. Using nonverbal cues. Maintaining open body language and friendly facial expressions makes your messages easier to understand and more approachable. Small actions like nodding, smiling, and keeping an open posture show that you are engaged and receptive. Continuous learning and reflection. Communication is a skill that improves with practice and reflection. After conversations, think about what went well and what could have been handled better. Ask yourself, did I listen carefully? Did I express my ideas clearly? Did I manage emotions or cultural differences effectively? Reflecting on your experiences helps you communicate with more clarity, empathy, and confidence over time. Real-life examples. Let's look at some real-life examples of communication barriers and how to overcome them. International conferences. Imagine attending an international conference where everyone speaks English, but accents, vocabulary, and speaking speed vary. Some speakers use idioms or long sentences that may be difficult to understand. Here, language differences become the main barrier. To handle this, politely ask for clarification. Could you please explain that in a different way? I am not sure I understood your point. Could you clarify? Asking questions not only helps you understand better, but also encourages clear communication for everyone. Cultural differences at work. In the workplace, colleagues from different cultures may communicate differently. Some cultures prefer indirect communication to avoid conflict. People from these cultures may avoid saying no or giving negative feedback directly. If you are used to direct communication, vague answers or silence might be confusing. To overcome this, observe carefully and ask questions that invite clarity. I want to make sure I understand your perspective. Do you think this plan will work, or do you see any challenges? This approach encourages honest answers and reduces misunderstandings. Emotional barriers. Strong emotions like anger, stress, or frustration can affect communication in both personal and professional life. When someone is upset, even neutral comments may be interpreted as criticism, and important details might be missed. Summary. By practicing role-playing, paying attention to nonverbal cues, using active listening, showing empathy, adapting to different situations, and reflecting on your experiences, you can overcome most communication barriers. These skills help you communicate clearly, confidently, and respectfully in any situation. Managing emotional barriers. Sometimes anxiety, nervousness, or strong emotions can stop people from sharing their ideas clearly. For example, when someone is stressed or frustrated, they may speak loudly, interrupt others, or even withdraw from the conversation. To manage emotional barriers. Pause before responding. Take a deep breath. Practice empathy. You can use phrases like, I understand that this situation is frustrating for you. It sounds like you had a challenging day. These phrases acknowledge the other person's feelings and help calm the conversation. Showing patience and understanding makes discussions smoother and more productive. Overcoming physical and technological barriers. Sometimes physical or technological factors can affect communication. Noise, poor lighting, or technical problems during online meetings can make it hard to hear or understand messages. To manage these barriers. Test your audio and video before online calls. Speak clearly and ask participants to confirm understanding. Move to a quieter location if the space is noisy. Use written notes or slides to support your discussion. Even small actions, like making sure everyone can see shared slides clearly, show professionalism and improve understanding. Avoiding assumptions and stereotypes. Assumptions and stereotypes can block communication. When we assume we know someone's thoughts or abilities based on their age, background, appearance, or job, we may misunderstand them. To avoid this, stay curious and open-minded. Ask open-ended questions. For example, can you share how you approach this project? Questions like this build trust and create opportunities for meaningful conversations. Interactive exercises for improving communication. Practicing communication skills is very helpful. You can do exercises at home or with friends. Clarification drill. One person explains a topic while the listener focuses on active listening. The listener summarizes what they heard and asks questions to clarify unclear points. This helps prevent misunderstandings and strengthens both speaking and listening skills. Topics can include explaining a favorite book, movie, or personal experience. Role-playing. Simulate situations where communication barriers may occur. For example, role-play a situation where a client asks about a service you do not fully understand. Practice asking polite questions, repeating information to confirm understanding, and responding clearly. Role-playing builds confidence and allows you to try different strategies without real-world pressure. These exercises are helpful for professional situations like meetings, presentations, or job interviews, and also for social or academic situations. Advanced communication techniques. For advanced learners, mastering discourse markers and signaling words is important. Words like however, in addition, for example, and on the other hand guide the listener through your ideas and make your speech or writing easier to follow. Practicing paraphrasing and summarizing also improves understanding. For example, so you are saying that your workload is too heavy and you feel stressed. Did I understand correctly? This ensures clarity, reduces assumptions, and encourages open dialogue. Cultural awareness. Cultural differences affect communication. Different countries have different communication styles, customs, and social norms. For example, in some countries, maintaining eye contact shows confidence. In other countries, it may seem disrespectful. Being aware of these differences allows you to adjust your communication style appropriately. Always approach conversations with curiosity, not judgment, and ask polite questions like, "Can you explain how your team usually handles this situation?" This demonstrates respect and shows that you are interested in the other person's perspective. Managing emotional barriers. Emotions affect how we speak and understand others. Stress, anger, frustration, or nervousness can make it hard to communicate clearly. To manage emotional barriers, pause before responding. Take deep breaths to calm yourself. Show empathy toward others. You can use phrases like, "I understand this situation is frustrating for you. It sounds like you had a challenging day." These phrases acknowledge feelings, reduce tension, and make conversations smoother and more productive. Physical and technological barriers. Sometimes physical or technological issues make communication difficult. Noise, poor lighting, or technical problems in online meetings can prevent understanding. To overcome these barriers, adjust your environment, move to a quieter place, improve lighting. Test your equipment before online calls. Speak clearly and ask participants to confirm understanding. Use written notes or slides to support your points. Even small actions, like making sure everyone can see slides clearly, show professionalism and help messages get across. Avoiding assumptions and stereotypes. Assumptions and stereotypes can also block communication. If we assume we know someone's thoughts or abilities based on age, background, or appearance, we may misinterpret them. To avoid this, stay curious and open-minded. Ask open-ended questions. For example, can you share how you approach this project? This approach builds trust and encourages meaningful conversations. Using clear and flexible language. Using clear and flexible language reduces confusion. Focus on simple and precise words. Practicing synonyms and paraphrasing. Using connecting words like however, for example, in contrast, or on the other hand. For example, the team faced several challenges. For example, the software was outdated. However, we implemented new tools to improve efficiency. Flexible language allows you to explain ideas even if you forget a word. For example, if you forget the word taxi, you can say, a small vehicle that carries people in the city. Nonverbal communication. Words are not enough. Body language and gestures are essential. Simple actions like eye contact, nodding, smiling, show you are engaged and listening. Negative signals like crossed arms, frowning, or avoiding eye contact may suggest disinterest or disagreement. Paying attention to nonverbal cues improves understanding in meetings, interviews, or casual conversations. Digital communication. Digital communication, such as emails, chat messages, or video calls, also has barriers. Written messages lack tone, facial expressions, or gestures, so meaning can be unclear. To improve digital communication, write clearly and politely. Use complete sentences and proper punctuation. Speak slowly and check for understanding in video calls. Encourage questions and offer clarification. Small actions like sharing your screen properly, making slides visible, or using captions can improve comprehension and show respect. Combining strategies. Combining all these strategies makes communication more effective. Use strong vocabulary. Structure ideas with connecting words. Pay attention to body language. Communicate clearly online and offline. Stay empathetic and culturally aware. Practice paraphrasing and clarifying. For example, if a colleague doesn't understand an idiom, rephrase it in simple words. If a chat message seems abrupt, rewrite it politely. These strategies work in professional meetings, casual conversations, or online discussions. Checking understanding. When communicating, it is important to make sure everyone understands each other. One simple way is to use polite phrases like, "Could you please clarify? I want to make sure I understand correctly." These questions show that you are careful, respectful, and willing to listen. In video calls, communication can be trickier because you cannot rely only on words. Speaking slowly, using hand gestures, and summarizing main points at intervals helps everyone understand clearly. This reduces confusion and keeps everyone on the same page. Overcoming assumptions and stereotypes. Sometimes, we make quick judgments about people based on limited information. These assumptions can be misleading. To avoid this, be self-aware and reflect on your own thoughts. Ask yourself if you are really listening or just reacting. Stay open-minded and curious. For example, in a team with people from different cultures, you might assume a new member is inexperienced because they are quiet. But if you give them a chance to speak, you may find they have valuable ideas. Being open-minded builds trust and makes communication more effective. Building confidence. Confidence is key to good communication. When you are confident, you hesitate less, reduce misunderstandings, and participate fully in discussions. Confidence grows over time through practice and learning. Ways to build confidence. Practice speaking regularly. Notice small improvements. See mistakes as learning opportunities. Join discussion groups or language exchanges. Record yourself speaking on different topics. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to express thoughts clearly and respond effectively. Handling misunderstandings. Misunderstandings happen often, even between native speakers. To handle them, recognize a misunderstanding without blaming anyone. Use calm, collaborative phrases like, "It seems we have different interpretations. Let's clarify together." This reduces tension and keeps the conversation productive. Other strategies include open-ended questions. Encourage detailed answers, not just yes or no. Example, instead of, "Did you like the report?" ask, "What are your thoughts on the report?" Paraphrasing. Repeat what the other person said in your own words to confirm understanding. Example, "So you're saying that the deadline is tight and we need extra support. Did I understand correctly?" Practicing patience and listening. Clear communication also requires patience, careful listening, reflection, using polite clarification, avoiding assumptions, building confidence, asking open-ended questions, and paraphrasing all make conversations more productive, respectful, and enjoyable. Open-ended questions. Open-ended questions are one of the most effective tools. They help you understand thoughts and feelings fully and reduce wrong assumptions. Examples. What are your thoughts on the project? Do you think any improvements are needed? Can you tell me more about your approach? Open-ended questions are especially useful in team discussions and multicultural environments where people think and communicate differently. Paraphrasing in real time. Another tool is paraphrasing in real time. When someone speaks, repeat their ideas in your own words to make sure you understood them correctly. This shows you are listening actively and helps prevent misunderstandings. Paraphrasing. Paraphrasing means repeating what someone said, but in your own words. This helps make sure you understood them correctly and gives them a chance to correct anything. For example, if someone explains a complicated idea, you could say, "So, you're suggesting that we should reorganize the workflow to improve efficiency. Is that correct?" Paraphrasing shows that you are listening carefully, value their input, and reduces the risk of misunderstandings. Using paraphrasing regularly makes conversations smoother and more productive because everyone knows their ideas are understood. Empathy. Empathy is understanding how someone feels and why they express themselves in a certain way. Recognizing emotions prevents conflicts and builds trust. For example, if a team member looks frustrated, you could say, "I see that this issue is challenging. Let's work together to find a solution." Acknowledging feelings reduces tension and makes discussions more positive. People are more willing to cooperate when they feel understood. Cultural competence. Cultural competence means understanding and respecting different communication norms, values, and customs. Every culture has its own rules for communication. What seems polite in one culture might be rude in another. For instance, in some cultures, interrupting can show engagement. In others, interrupting may be disrespectful. Being aware of cultural differences helps you adjust your behavior, communicate respectfully, and avoid misunderstandings. It also strengthens relationships and teamwork. Combining strategies. When you combine open-ended questions, paraphrasing, empathy, and cultural awareness, your communication becomes much clearer. These strategies reduce misunderstandings, improve clarity, strengthen relationships. Regular practice makes these skills second nature. Over time, you communicate confidently in any situation, whether at work, school, or social settings. Exercises to improve communication. Story reconstruction drill. One person tells a story. The listener pays close attention. The listener retells the story in their own words. This improves listening, comprehension, paraphrasing, and clarification skills. Emotion recognition drill. One person describes a situation while showing subtle emotions. The listener identifies the emotions based on tone, facial expressions, and gestures. This improves empathy and emotional intelligence, which are important for teamwork and cooperation. Assertiveness practice. Assertiveness means expressing ideas clearly and respectfully without being aggressive or passive. Example, instead of avoiding a point, you can say, "I think this approach could work, but I'd like to hear your thoughts." Being assertive ensures your voice is heard while respecting others. Digital communication. Online communication has unique challenges. Words alone may not show tone or emotions. Tips for online communication. Write clearly in full sentences. Avoid ambiguous abbreviations, e.g., instead of "K," say, "Thank you for your message. I understand and will proceed accordingly." In video calls, speak slowly, test your equipment, and summarize key points. Encourage questions and confirm understanding. Clear digital communication shows respect and prevents misunderstandings. Combining all skills. By combining, paraphrasing, empathy, cultural awareness, assertiveness, digital communication skills, you build a strong foundation for effective communication. These skills help you listen better, speak more clearly, understand others' feelings, reduce misunderstandings, build trust and confidence. Practical examples. If someone interrupts you during a meeting, I would like to finish my point, and I'm happy to hear your thoughts afterward. If a team member seems frustrated, I understand this situation is challenging. Let's find a solution together. If you don't understand an idea in a discussion, so you're suggesting we try a different workflow to improve efficiency. Did I understand correctly? These simple strategies make communication clear, respectful, and productive in any situation. Assertiveness. Assertiveness is expressing your ideas clearly and respectfully without being rude or passive. It is especially helpful in group discussions, teamwork, professional settings. For example, if someone interrupts you during a meeting, you can say, "I would like to finish my point. I am happy to hear your thoughts afterward." Being assertive ensures your voice is heard, reduces confusion, and maintains a respectful environment. Reflection and self-assessment. After any conversation or meeting, take a few minutes to reflect. Ask yourself, did I express my ideas clearly? Did I listen actively? Were there any misunderstandings? Reflecting helps you recognize strengths and areas for improvement, and gradually makes your future conversations more productive and smooth. Structured discussions and debates. Participating in structured discussions or debates improves communication skills by helping you organize your thoughts logically, respond to different perspectives, speak clearly under pressure. You can join English discussion groups online, community debates, professional workshops. Practicing presenting your ideas and listening to others helps build confidence and reduces communication barriers in real-life situations. Patience and tolerance. Patience and tolerance are important when communicating with people from different backgrounds or with different styles. Patience allows everyone to explain their ideas fully, reducing misunderstandings. Tolerance helps you stay calm when communication is slow or different from your expectations. Together, these qualities create a calm and productive conversation environment. Nonverbal communication. Gestures, facial expressions, posture, and tone of voice are key parts of communication. Positive signals, smiling, nodding, eye contact, shows engagement. Negative signals, crossed arms, frowning, avoiding eye contact, may show discomfort or disagreement. Observing nonverbal cues in yourself and others helps you adjust your communication style and avoid misunderstandings. Advanced listening skills. Patience and advanced listening are crucial, especially when conversations move slowly. Working with people from different backgrounds. Handling complex topics. Active listening strategies. Focus on words, tone, and context. Listen for key phrases like "the main point is" or "the key challenge is." Identify core ideas while paying attention to important details. Advanced listening reduces misunderstandings and helps you fully understand the message. Collaborative problem solving. When communication barriers arise, involve everyone in finding solutions rather than blaming. For example, if a team is unclear about roles, organize a short meeting. Clarify responsibilities, expectations, and agreements. Document the decisions. This approach strengthens teamwork, trust, and cooperation. Storytelling. Stories make information memorable and easy to understand. Use personal experiences, analogies, or relatable examples. Helps explain complex ideas clearly. Bridges gaps caused by language differences or cultural misunderstandings. For instance, if teaching a new procedure at work, share a story about how it worked successfully in a real situation. Summary. By practicing assertiveness, reflection and self-assessment, structured discussions, patience and tolerance, nonverbal awareness, advanced listening, collaborative problem solving, storytelling, you can communicate clearly, reduce misunderstandings, build trust, and strengthen relationships in personal, professional, and multicultural contexts. Storytelling and mindfulness. Storytelling makes ideas more relatable and easier to remember. Sharing personal experiences, examples, or analogies helps others understand complex concepts. Mindfulness is being fully present in a conversation. Focus entirely on the speaker. Avoid thinking about your response or distractions. Notice subtle cues like tone, gestures, and emotions. Example, during a team meeting or client call, paying full attention helps you understand hidden intentions or emotions. Mindfulness creates a respectful, attentive, and productive environment. Perspective swap exercise. This activity encourages empathy and understanding by explaining a topic from different points of view. Example, describe a workplace problem first from a manager's perspective, then from an employee's perspective. Benefits. Reduces assumptions and stereotypes. Improves ability to express ideas clearly from multiple angles. Strengthens understanding of different communication styles. Silent observation drill. Watch a conversation or meeting without sound and interpret. Speaker's intentions, emotions, body language. Then compare with the actual dialogue. Benefits. Improves reading nonverbal cues. Enhances recognition of emotional barriers. Helps follow conversations even in noisy or fast-paced settings. Clarity challenge. Explain a complex topic in under 2 minutes using simple and clear language. Example topics: new technology, business strategy, social issue. Ask someone to summarize what they understood. Benefits. Identify confusing points. Develop concise, effective explanations. Strengthen ability to organize thoughts and simplify ideas. Combining exercises. Practicing perspective swaps, silent observation, and clarity challenges builds empathy and understanding. Ability to read nonverbal signals. Precision and simplicity in communication. Confidence in handling difficult conversations. Regular practice also helps anticipate challenges, respond thoughtfully, and adapt communication to your audience. Digital communication. Online communication has unique challenges. Written messages can be unclear without tone or gestures. Video calls may miss nonverbal cues. Tips for effective digital communication. Be clear about intentions and expectations. Use simple, polite language in writing. Instead of "send the report," write, "Could you please send the report by this afternoon?" Speak slowly and clearly in video calls. Summarize key points and ask for confirmation. Use screen sharing, slides, or captions when necessary. Summary. Effective communication combines storytelling to make ideas relatable, mindfulness to focus fully on the speaker, perspective swaps to develop empathy, silent observation to read emotions and nonverbal cues, clarity challenges to explain ideas simply, clear digital communication. Practicing these strategies regularly helps you listen attentively, respond thoughtfully, reduce misunderstandings, build stronger personal and professional relationships, express ideas clearly and confidently. Communication becomes more than exchanging information. It becomes a way to connect, understand, and collaborate effectively. Clear digital communication. Being specific and precise in messages reduces misunderstandings. Instead of, "Please send the report soon," use, "Could you please send the report by 5 p.m. today so we can review it before the meeting?" Tips for online meetings and emails. Summarize key points at the end of meetings. Ask participants to confirm understanding. Does this make sense to everyone? Can someone summarize the key points? Use bullet points, numbered lists, and headings to organize information. Speak slowly, clearly, and pause during video calls. Check for clarity in written messages. "I want to make sure I understand your feedback correctly. Could you clarify this point?" Handling disagreements constructively. Disagreements are natural in professional and personal settings. Effective strategies include: stay calm and listen carefully. Find common ground and use solution-focused language. "I understand your point, and I also see another perspective. Let's discuss how we can combine these ideas for the best result." Avoid blame. Focus on collaboration. Advanced vocabulary and clarity. Using precise language strengthens communication. Expand vocabulary with synonyms and collocations. Important, crucial, essential, vital. Use short sentences for clarity, especially in digital communication. Organize content logically for easy reading and understanding. Advanced listening strategies. Strong listening skills prevent misunderstandings. Predictive listening. Anticipate what the speaker might say based on context. Example: if a colleague mentions a project issue, expect potential solutions or challenges. Selective listening. Focus on key information like main ideas, deadlines, or action points. Ignore minor details to improve comprehension and efficiency. Combining predictive and selective listening helps you follow conversations and respond confidently. Role-play and simulation exercises. Practice real-world scenarios to improve confidence and problem-solving. Job interviews, negotiations, debates, or challenging discussions. Focus on clear speech, active listening, appropriate body language. Review performance afterward to identify barriers and improve. Role-play provides a safe environment to handle misunderstandings, emotions, and unexpected situations. Storytelling. Stories make ideas memorable and easier to understand. Provide context and examples. Bridge gaps caused by language, cultural, or emotional barriers. Example: explain a new work procedure through a real-life success story. Summary of advanced strategies for digital and professional communication. Be specific and clear in messages. Summarize and confirm understanding in online meetings. Handle disagreements calmly and collaboratively. Expand vocabulary and use precise language. Practice predictive and selective listening. Use role-play and simulations to build confidence. Incorporate storytelling to make concepts relatable. Maintain patience and empathy in all interactions. By combining these strategies, you can communicate clearly, reduce misunderstandings, and collaborate effectively in professional, personal, and digital contexts. Storytelling and communication. Storytelling helps make ideas relatable, memorable, and easier to understand. Example: when explaining a new process at work, You can share a story about how the process improved efficiency in a previous project. Benefits: engages the audience, conveys emotions, provides concrete examples. Practicing storytelling regularly allows you to organize thoughts, choose the right words, and explain concepts clearly. This is especially useful in professional and multicultural environments. Mindfulness and presence. Being fully present during conversations improves understanding and reduces misunderstandings. Focus entirely on the speaker instead of thinking about your response or other distractions. Notice subtle details, tone, gestures, facial expressions. Example: during a team meeting, focusing fully helps catch important points or hidden concerns. Mindfulness exercises. Meditation. Slow breathing. Focused listening. Building confidence. Confidence helps you express yourself clearly and participate fully. Practice short speeches or presentations. Record yourself to evaluate clarity and pronunciation. Seek feedback from peers, teachers, or colleagues. Benefits: improved fluency, pronunciation, clarity, and smooth communication in formal and informal situations. Feedback. Giving and receiving feedback strengthens communication skills. Ask questions like, "Did my explanation make sense? Is there anything I should explain better?" Benefits: open dialogue. Identifies unclear word choices or missing details. Continuous improvement. Cultural awareness. Understanding cultural differences reduces misunderstandings in diverse environments. Observe communication norms, gestures, and tone. Respect different ways of expressing ideas. Example: some cultures prefer direct communication, others prefer indirect approaches. Practice patience, tolerance, and ask clarifying questions politely. Collaborative problem solving. Working together on challenges improves communication and teamwork. Example: clarify responsibilities in a team meeting to avoid confusion. Benefits: builds trust. Encourages active listening and empathy. Strengthens team collaboration. Reflection and self-assessment. After discussions or presentations, reflect on your performance. Ask yourself, did I explain my ideas clearly? Did I fully understand the other person? Benefits: recognize strengths, identify areas for improvement, and build effective communication habits. Key takeaways. By combining these strategies: storytelling, mindfulness and presence, confidence, feedback, cultural awareness, collaborative problem solving, reflection and self-assessment, you can communicate clearly, understand others better, and build stronger personal and professional relationships. Self-reflection and continuous improvement. Asking yourself questions like, were there moments when emotions or assumptions affected the conversation? Did I express my ideas clearly? Helps you become more aware of your strengths and weaknesses. Reflecting after conversations, meetings, or discussions reinforces good habits, improves communication skills, and ensures continuous learning. Small improvements over time lead to significant progress. Real-life example: clarifying understanding. Imagine Blake presenting a project plan to his international team. Maria, an English language learner, looks confused. Blake notices her nonverbal cues and asks Maria, "Can you explain what you understood so far?" Maria clarifies, and Blake adjusts his explanations using simple language and examples. Key strategies shown. Noticing nonverbal cues. Identifies confusion early. Asking clarifying questions. Ensures everyone is on the same page. Adjusting language and examples. Improves understanding and inclusion. This shows that small adjustments can prevent misunderstandings and ensure everyone feels included. Patience and empathy. Listening carefully, adjusting explanations, and checking for understanding creates a supportive environment. Mindfulness, self-reflection, and active problem-solving improve communication effectiveness. These habits strengthen relationships and teamwork over time. Handling misunderstandings in multicultural teams. Language differences. Even small details can confuse. For example, Blake explains the 3 phases of a project. Maria hesitates, so Blake asks, "Does this make sense?" Confirming understanding prevents mistakes. Cultural differences. Blake's Japanese colleague says, "I will try my best," which Blake initially interprets incorrectly. By asking, "Do you think it's possible to finish by Friday, or should we set a different deadline?" he avoids misunderstandings and builds trust. Managing emotional barriers. Team members may feel frustrated if previous ideas were ignored. Example, Blake notices frustration and responds empathetically. "I understand that you feel your ideas haven't been considered. Let's review them together." Benefits: reduces tension, encourages collaboration, and strengthens relationships. Practical communication exercises. Conflict resolution role-play. Participants act out a misunderstanding scenario. One plays a frustrated person, the other practices calm responses, clarifying questions, and suggesting solutions. Outcome: learn to manage conflict, stay patient, and communicate clearly. Active listening drills. Focus completely on the speaker without interrupting. Summarize what you heard afterward to confirm understanding. Perspective-taking activities. Explain a situation from someone else's viewpoint. Helps reduce assumptions, build empathy, and improve clarity. Summary of key strategies. Reflect on conversations to improve self-awareness. Notice nonverbal cues and adjust explanations. Use clarifying questions and simple language. Practice patience and empathy. Be mindful of cultural differences. Practice through role-play, active listening, and perspective-taking. By combining these strategies, you can prevent misunderstandings, communicate clearly, and foster a positive and collaborative environment, even in multicultural or high-pressure professional settings. Exercises to improve communication skills. 1. Perspective-taking exercises. Participants put themselves in someone else's position and explain how that person might feel or think. Improves empathy, reduces miscommunication, and strengthens teamwork. Combines proactive clarification, cultural awareness, and emotional intelligence. Benefits: helps notice misunderstandings early, adjust approaches, and respond thoughtfully. 2. Conflict resolution role-play. Participants act out a scenario where a misunderstanding occurs. One person plays someone frustrated, the other practices calm responses, clarifying questions, and solutions. After the exercise, discuss which strategies worked best, which phrases or nonverbal signals were effective. Benefits: builds confidence and prepares learners for real-life situations. 3. Cross-cultural communication drills. Simulate conversations with different cultural norms. Example: one person acts as a colleague who uses indirect communication, the other practices polite questions and confirming understanding. Debrief afterward. How did cultural awareness change the interaction? Which phrases clarified meaning? How could assumptions cause confusion? Benefits: strengthens empathy, flexibility, and clarity, especially in multicultural environments. 4. Digital communication exercises. Focus on email and online messaging. Email clarity challenge. Draft professional emails on complex topics and exchange for peer review. Example: instead of "please check the document," write, "Could you please review the attached document and provide your feedback by Thursday so we can finalize it for the meeting?" Benefits: prevents misunderstandings, improves clarity, and builds confidence in professional correspondence. 5. Storytelling. Practice explaining ideas or experiences through short stories that illustrate a point. Example, instead of telling colleagues to follow a procedure, share a story about how it improved results in the past. Benefits: engages listeners, provides context, makes ideas easier to understand, and builds confidence in speaking. 6. Mindfulness and reflective listening. Listen to a colleague's story while observing emotions, body language, and tone. Reflect afterward. What did you understand? How did assumptions influence interpretation? How could you respond more effectively next time? Benefits: helps notice subtle cues, respond thoughtfully, and improve overall communication. 7. Active listening and question ladder drill. One person explains an idea. The listener asks a series of clarifying questions. Example, after hearing about a marketing project, ask, what was the main goal of the campaign? Who was the target audience? Which strategies worked best? Benefits: improves focus, comprehension, and ability to engage in detailed conversations. 1. Constructive feedback. Example, a peer might say, I understood your main points, but a few technical terms could be simplified. Benefits: helps refine communication skills, encourages clearer expression of ideas, reduces barriers in future interactions. Regular practice increases confidence and improves the ability to evaluate both your own and others' communication. 2. Advanced vocabulary. Practice explaining complex topics, e.g., business strategies, scientific concepts, social issues, using precise terminology. Synonyms. Paraphrasing. Example, instead of important, use critical, essential, or fundamental depending on context. Benefits: prevents confusion, conveys nuanced meanings, and strengthens professional and casual conversations. 3. Mindfulness and communication. Stay fully present during conversations. Notice both verbal and nonverbal cues. Avoid distractions like phones or wandering thoughts. Exercise. Focus listening drill. Listen to a partner without interrupting. Summarize key points, emotions, and intentions. Benefits: improves attention, understanding, empathy, and thoughtful responses. 4. Storytelling. Share short stories to illustrate points or experiences. Benefits: engages listeners, provides context, makes ideas easier to understand and remember. 5. Active listening. Fully focus on what the speaker says. Ask clarifying questions. Summarize key points. Benefits: ensures understanding, encourages dialogue, and reduces misunderstandings. 6. Combining strategies. Storytelling plus active listening plus feedback plus vocabulary practice plus mindfulness. Benefits: overcomes communication barriers, improves clarity and empathy, builds confidence in professional and personal interactions. 7. Long-term practice. Regular practice helps learners notice subtle cues in conversations, adapt language to the audience, prevent misunderstandings proactively. With patience and structured exercises, learners develop a well-rounded skill set for expressing ideas clearly, responding empathetically, and navigating complex interactions successfully.